both the presidents?
Well, if you look at the reality, yes. If you just listen to the rhetoric, not so much, right? And so the headlines have been captured in the last couple of years by some tensions between the United States and with President Donald Trump and the Philippines with President Rodrigo Duterte. And Duterte has been critical of the United States, has advocated closer ties not to the U.S. but to China, and wants to suspend or even break a military agreement that we have called the EDCA, the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. And that those headlines, the talk captures the headlines, but the relationship is still sound, right, and really quite close.
Okay, that's good to hear. And you talk about how the Pacific century, that the first Pacific century was back in the 1900s, and with China now having an even worse reputation with the Americans, what does the second Pacific century look like?
Well, you're asking a historian to predict the future, which which is hard. But I do think we can say with some confidence, right, that the U.S. and the Philippines will remain connected in the future, partly because of these military reasons I just explained, but also all the other reasons, right, that the connections of Americans and Filipinos as people are in some ways more important than the connections of the United States and the Philippines as governments or armies. So I think those connections are not going away, but certainly. China will be the challenge for sure, along with other issues, including climate change and other kind of social and public health issues that are going to keep emerging. But the U.S. will continue to engage in Asia from the Philippines. Right? It's it's kind of a home base kind of a perspective that they're bringing.
Yeah, because the U.S. has always had a lot of trade in that area with the Asian countries in general. And so that continues to happen today.
Yeah, I mean, the trade connections are important, but also so are migration connections, right? Including what are called remittances, right? Sending money home, right? Things like that really kind of tie migrants between the two countries together.
Yeah.